Senator Andrei Klimov, очень приятно встретить с вами. Thank you for your time.
We shall speak Russian, or вам лучше по-английски?
I wish I could still remember all my Russian, but it's so kind of you. President Donald Trump has just left from India after a very successful visit. But India and Russia go back so long. Even if you just look at the near future and the top-level meetings, we had Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Vladivostok with President Putin for the bilateral, the economic summit as well. We're going to have President Putin again hosting Prime Minister Modi for Dien Pavedi,
Yes,
for Victory Day,
yes.
as well. And there'll probably be other meetings, maybe the Joint Commission as well. They'll be meeting for the BRICS and SCO summit in Russia as well. So our ties go back a long way in history.
Well, I don't want to speak about Indian-American relationship. It is not my matter. I can say something about, if you like, about Russian-American affairs. That's more important for us. And of course, much more important for us, our affairs with strategic partners like India. And we have to mind that together, three countries, Russia, India and China, we established BRICS organization. We are also among cornerstones of G20. We are also now partners in Shanghai organization. And if you compare total GDP of three countries, you can see that we are number one in the world. So this is something what we can improve together, and our cooperation shall be, I believe, in such a way, shall be much broader and much deeper than now. You mentioned America, but I can tell you openly, it is not a secret, that our trade turnover with America, who named us officially in their public law as an adversary, so our trade turnover with America is bigger than our trade turnover with India.
Yeah.
So we have to do a lot. Our potential is great. And we have some new fields of cooperation, for example, nuclear technologies, space technologies, our common affairs, our common cooperation, potential cooperation in Russian Arctic, in Russian Far East, on our oil and gas fields. It is also very promising projects. So we can do a lot. And the spirit of friendship is very useful for that very purpose.
Senator, so would you say that Russia understands why India needs to cooperate with the US? Because we have a completely separate platform with Russia?
Well, let me say something on my personal behalf as an expert. I'm sure that Mr. Trump tried to have some political show before American elections. So this visit, in my opinion, is about impressions of American people, but mainly expression.
But some would say Prime Minister Modi did the same in Houston as well.
Yes,
for
but
the domestic.
it is not Russian internal problems anyhow.
Yeah.
But it is more or less about political theater. Our visits, they not devoted, visits of Mr. Putin or our invitation of Mr. Modi. This is not about political show. This is about real cooperation in this very complicated world. And together with countries like India, we can build very stable global atmosphere.
And a multipolar.
In a multipolar world. And we do not want to conquer each other. We do not want to change our political systems. This is not about that. But for example, America, I already mentioned one of their law, but they have another public law where they already appointed American officials, their state secretary, for example, as a gentleman who is responsible for improvement of the Russian democracy. It is in their law, in American law. We have no anything like that. And really, we do not want to change other political systems. We are looking for cooperation with everybody, but in case of India, we are looking for this very deep, very broad, not just cooperation, but strategic partnership.
This strategic partnership, deep and broad, between India and Russia, is that not exemplified by the fact that, say, the Americans say that we are engaged with the Indians for about $20 billion of defense equipment. Russia has already got about $16 billion. And isn't it exemplified, our relationship, by the fact that India is still going for the S-400 system, despite the threat of CAATSA sanctions from the US?
Well, again, this is the Indian choice. And of course, for us, it is not bad to have such kind of buyer. And of course, I am sure that our defense systems much better than any other on the globe. And I'm sure that our army is maybe the best. I'm sure the best, but...
You talked about Russia and the US a lot. You were talking about their laws, etc. Now, since it's election year, which you mentioned again in the US, lots of reports coming out of Russian interference in the elections.
For what purpose? For
exactly.
what reasons?
But intelligence briefings being denied, President Trump.
It's a show.
It's a show, but you...
Internal show of the United States.
You yourself, from your days in the Duma, not only in the Sovfed, have been looking at Russian sovereignty, Russian law, including...
Well, I am chair of a commission for protection of the Russian sovereignty, for example.
And the foreign agents law would be that.
And we have thousands of pages of evidence of their real attempts. I named you very clear facts. For example, the laws, public laws of the United States with such kind of orders, whom to improve the Russian democracy, for example. But coming back to the Russian Federation and our aims of our internal relationship, I can say we have two very concrete issues or aims or goals, if you like. One, to protect the sovereignty of my country against any attempts to penetrate to our internal life. Any attempts of interference in our life, it's illegal, and we will do and we shall do whatever we can to protect that. The other goal or task is to prepare conditions for better life of Russian people in Russia. That's it. That's it. And in former times, in times of Soviet Union, we had just one main goal, to build communism all over the world. You see the difference. So we are not about any kind of interference to anybody. And we have too many things to do inside our country.
You've even been quoted in the past as saying that it's America who's trying to bring up a Juan Guaido type of figure within Russia.
That's true. And they did it, I mean, they recruited him in Serbia 10 years ago for this very purpose.
He was apparently trained in public...
They trained him, American trained him in Serbia. We have evidence.
Public demonstrations.
Yes. They teach them, they protect him, they prepared him for that mission. So it is really...
Are they looking for a similar figure, you're saying, in Russia?
Well, of course, and we know names. And well, our commission is full of such kind of information. And about a year ago, I had a meeting with American MPs, members of their Congress, in my office in Moscow. We spent together 3 hours. They asked us to do that without journalists, without media. And within these 3 hours, I explained them our position about our about fakes, about our interference in their life, and about our evidence about their interference in my life and the life of my country. And they had any questions about that. And they even didn't mention things like Ukraine or Crimea at all. So we spent these 3 hours in a very fruitful way. But when they left Russia, they published such kind of interview. I wasn't surprised. Because if you compare our real talks and the explanation of that toxin at home.
Very divergent.
It's again more or less looks like fictions than.
It's interesting that you raised Ukraine and Crimea. Now, when I said the pressure that the US was putting on India, we saw what happened with Turkey on the S-400 front, Katsa. That hasn't happened with India. Now, vis-a-vis Crimea, also we know the Indian position, the official position that has been made there. And even while President Trump was here, a Crimean delegation, though not on an official visit, was here in India. So
And not for the first time.
So do you see India, exactly, even during the previous president's visit, the Prime Minister, I think, had come here. But do you see that India is well aware of, though it needs to cooperate with the US in certain areas, it does not want to become a dependency and hence is building on the historical ties with Russia?
Well, you're an independent country, that's for sure. And we respect your status, political status, we respect your national interests, and we will continue in such a way. All our political steps, they are just for the same goal, for our successful future of both countries. And certainly, we had very good relationship with Congress people in your country. Now they're in opposition. But we also have a very constructive partnership with your ruling party. And that's normal, because we respect the choice of Indian people. And I do believe that Indian people also respect our choice. That's it. Very easy.
Senator, очень приятно было разговаривать с вами. Спасибо за времени.
Спасибо вам большое. Thank you for your attention and your time.
Thanks.